on Sports Week. Midge, here.
Ridge, what's happening?
I got a story, I got a story.
What is it?
It's big.
Is it local?
With worldwide ramifications.
Well, tell me what it is.
I can't tell you, Midge. I gotta show you. And it'll take about 90 minutes.
90 minutes?
Come with me Sunday, May 29th at 2 o'clock, and I'll show you.
Can they come, too?
Yes. For the love of people, everybody can come.
Good afternoon. There's a lot of working going on in the news center this afternoon.
Hey, Midge. Oh, are you on the air?
I was.
Forgive me. Remember that conversation we had out on the steps?
Is this the day?
This is the day.
Well, Dawn, I'm a little busy. I was doing...
No, come with me. I'll get you away from all this busyness.
You're going to take me away from
I'm
this.
taking you away from all of this.
Well, I made a commitment.
I know you made a commitment. By the way, Midge, do you mind if I ask, what are you? Are you Irish?
I'm Irish and Croatian.
Oh, this story will fire your Irish imagination and warm the cockles of your Croatian heart.
Sounds poetic.
In the meantime, let's watch the Duquesne University Tamburitzans perform at one of Pittsburgh's most beautiful places, a Polish wedding at Heartwood Acres. May I add that we'll be looking back during this program. We'll be seeing some famous people who through the years have lent their personal support to developing a national folk arts center in Pittsburgh. One of the purposes of this program is to give you an opportunity to contribute to this proud project as you have in the past. But now, the Duquesne University Tamburitzans recreating a glorious Polish wedding at one of America's most beautiful locations, Heartwood Acres, North Hills.
You've seen the Tamburitzans in a performing arts hall, but where and what do they call home? Well, the Tamburitzan Cultural Center is located off the Duquesne University campus between downtown Pittsburgh and Oakland. The Institute has outgrown this home. That's one of the reasons why the Tamburitzan Corporation, the private non-profit educational and cultural support group, has purchased this building. This warehouse, this very large warehouse, will be renovated into the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center. The drawings show the concept of this cultural facility. The rehearsal hall, which will be over 2,000 square feet, will be constructed to professional rehearsal hall specifications with ample space and light. The main lobby gives one the idea of the quality of the building. Once again, very spacious and marvelously laid out for museum display. The Hall of Nations, which will be on the main floor of the Folk Arts Center, will be large enough to hold up to 750 people when used for public functions, but will be mainly used as a display area and will have carved walls, chandeliers, and other gifts from European countries. The last design is a view of the main entrance side of the Folk Arts Center, which will be connected by a plaza. The Tamburitzan Corporation has committed itself to making the Folk Arts Center a reality. Now, to do this, we need your help. We need your financial support. We need you to make this happen. Please call in your dollar support to the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center.
So, Midge, this is part of what will be a National Center for Folk Arts.
That sounds exciting.
Yes,
I want
it
to find out more.
Let me introduce you to some good people. Walter W. Kolar,
Oh, hi, nice to
Managing
meet you.
Director.
Welcome to the Tamburitzans Cultural
Oh,
Center.
thank you so very much.
David Kolar.
Hi.
Let's see, David. David has so many titles: archivist, librarian, musician, museum, well, all these things. And, gee, Midge, I don't know, fellas, how do we start to tell Midge what's going on here?
Sounds like a big one.
The Duquesne University Tamburitzans are one of the most exciting performing groups in the world. They're made up of 40 bright, talented college students who attend Duquesne University on a full scholarship. For 4 years, they enjoy the glamour of the stage while keeping up with their college work aboard a bus. They play at least 100 concerts a year, some of them in very prestigious places, like the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, Heinz Hall in Pittsburgh. Through the years, these Tamburitzans have been America's ambassadors of goodwill. In 9 trips abroad, visiting 22 foreign countries, these all-American kids have absolutely astounded people in those countries by being able to do their dances and sing their songs and perform their culture almost better than they can in the old country. Recently, the Tamburitzans have accepted a new challenge. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, high atop the tallest building, they are gently telling the world that in this city of champions, they too are champions at what they do. And now they are championing a new cause: to build in Pittsburgh a National Center for Folk Arts that does not exist in America today. At a reception recently, the wife of the Vice President of the United States, Joan Mondale, had these comments.
I know that Pittsburgh is proud of the Tamburitzans. You all have shared the richness and diversity of your special contribution of folk arts, and I am very flattered and pleased to be here at this unveiling of your new dream, and I know that it will be a reality someday. Thank you.
And this is the National Center for Folk Arts. That's the Boulevard of the Allies. And on the corner is the present home of the Tamburitzans. More than just a building, it will be a complex of buildings with a courtyard, with plantings and trees and a reflecting pool, a little amphitheater. And underneath, 2 stories of parking. It'll look a little like Mellon Square. But the main building, restored, will contain a Hall of Nations where you can go in and be proud of your heritage. A 40,000 square foot museum, a library, recording studio, resource center. It'll even have rehearsal facilities. But more than that, this National Center for Folk Arts will be a monument to people. Your people, my people, our people in Pittsburgh, with 77 heritage groups. More than that, it will be in this city of champions, a championship place to come and be proud of your roots.
Don Riggs was right. This is a special story.
And it's crowded in here because we need more room, don't we, David?
Yeah, in this room there are a couple of thousand records from all over. And besides the things we We collect such as Polish Christmas carols and Russian dances. And we've got things like Scotland in here and Spanish folklore. We've got things from India. We've got anthologies from Black Africa. We've got Irish material. We've got
Irish material.
Irish material.
All right.
Oh, that one lights up your light.
You bet.
All over, David?
All over.
Not just Eastern Europe.
No, the collection is much wider than that.
American Indian.
American Indian. Authentic music of the American Indian.
You want it? You got it.
You got it, it's in here.
Isn't that great? Some of these have also come from sources of just friends who have given these to the Tamburitzans and our Tamburitzans Folk Art Center, too. I think one of the best friends of the whole project was retired Congressman Moorhead. He has helped this project for years.
There is a group in the Pittsburgh area of which you all know, the world-famous Tamburitzans. The Tamburitzans, for almost a half a century, have been doing a fantastic job. Right now, they're creating a National Folk Arts Center, which is not only going to add to the cultural climate of Pittsburgh, but have an influence across the entire nation. The National Folk Arts Center will be a tribute to all people, regardless of ethnic background or origin. It will be a monument to the very best in all of us, and will offer insight into man's deepest feelings and emotions, his beliefs and values. That's why the center has my support. I'll do everything I can to bring this center to reality. Pittsburgh needs it. The United States needs it.
Oh, Don, look what I found, Hungarian music.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is some of that lively Hungarian dancing to go along with it.
Would you like to see the Tamburitzans perhaps performing a Hungarian number in Katie's Park?
Just what the doctor ordered.
Katie's Park is at the Civic County Building in the Quadrangle. And Hungarian it is. And it's also time for you to call in that pledge.
oh, darn, it does my heart good to see such exuberance and liveliness and foot-stomping fun that those kids are having out there, and such a beautiful setting, too, contrasted to this place.
I'm going to say, unlike our National Folk Arts Center at this stage in its development yet. But actually, the Tamburitzans are important to the National Folk Arts Center because over the years, the Tamburitzans have had so much love and respect with just the kind of stuff that you've seen. The people have given them collections of beautiful things, and they've been able to gather up all this stuff from all over the world for almost 50 years that will someday be here. But people don't quite understand that the National Center for Folk Arts is a separate corporation based on the love and respect the rest of the world has paid to these kids and these performers, that now has the credibility to expand in the National Center for Folk Arts. They're good kids. You've seen Tam.
Oh, yes, indeed. Everyone should have the pleasure to see the Tamburitzans dance. They're great, just great.
The stagehands at Kennedy Center appreciate the Tammies. They call them those good kids from Pittsburgh, and worthy of a little extra effort with the lights. In some ways, it's just another concert for these college students from Duquesne University. But in other ways, well, this is Kennedy Center, and a little extra rehearsal wouldn't hurt. The only real rehearsal is for a brand new number featuring some dancing goats. And that is Nicholas Jordanoff, the Tammy's director. Several times here, Jordanoff has heard the comment that John Fitzgerald Kennedy would have loved the Duquesne Tamburitzans. This is their 5th concert in the hall that bears his name. In the international audience, 2 very special dignitaries. Ambassador Lubomir Popov, Bulgaria. Ambassador Dimcha Belovsky, Yugoslavia. Both their excellencies here to enjoy the folk music and dance of Eastern Europe as only the Tammies can perform it. For this is a joyous and an expert performance of heritages both ambassadors would especially understand and appreciate. The concert's over now, but the Tammies are still going strong. What starts out as a reception quickly turns into pure fun, with both ambassadors, Belovsky and Popov, joining in, dancing, smiling, enjoying these great American kids and the very special thing that they bring to those who love the folk arts. Informally at receptions, or in full productions on stage. Yes, sir. They're still talking about the Tammies in Washington. Meet Joyce Cowrich and Mike Sandilich. Both will graduate from Duquesne University this spring. Joyce is from Monaca, majors in journalism, plays flute. Mike's from Kansas City, Kansas. He's an accounting student, plays bass fiddle. Both are graduating seniors, but both have something in common that's rather unique. They've attended Duquesne University, where you can see the south side from your dorm room if you want to. Both have spent 4 years making friends. Duquesne University is, of course, a metropolitan university in the shadow of the U.S. Steel building, you could say. But Joyce and Mike have made many friends in their 4 years at Duquesne. But they have something in common that not many students have. They're both members of the Tamburitzans. But let's go back 4 years to Joyce's audition.
This young lady is auditioning for the Duquesne University Tamburitzans. For her and thousands of other high school students over the years, this is an opportunity to win a scholarship to college that's worth over $20,000 if she keeps it for 4 years. Some of the auditionees come already knowing how to play the tamburitza. For these people, it is usually the act of maintaining their own heritage, of knowing the music that their grandparents brought to this country years ago.
Well, soon Mike and Joyce will qualify for the Tamburitzans Wall of Fame. Their pictures will hang here, too, with other Tammies since 1937 who've been to every state in the Union, 22 foreign countries. One of the most remarkable folk ensembles in the world, and surely unique among colleges in the United States of America. Mike's taken a special look because there's someone special hanging on the wall for him.
Ah, there's my dad.
What kind of a guy is your dad, Mike?
My dad's the kind of guy that will do anything for anybody. He's the kind of guy that would go to a party early, set up, be the biggest partier there, and when he's done, when the party's over, he'll stay and clean up.
Are you a Tammy because he was?
No, I'm a Tammy because I want to be. But I guess that he is glad that I am.
I expect he would be. There's a lore about Steve Sandlich. When he was a Tamburitzan and the bus broke down, he had the tools ready. Man had the engine running before it cooled off. Did he ever tell you about that?
He's still got the tools, too.
What's he do, Mike?
He's a stationary engineer at TWA, which means that he works on the buildings.
And on the right, just conveniently placed, right beside him, is his dancing partner?
Yeah, Pat French. They did a Mexican hat dance together when they were in the group.
Someday, I'd like to see that again, wouldn't you?
Oh, I already saw it at camp.
How was it?
We got them together and they did it. It was pretty good.
The rehearsal room is empty now. Mike and Joyce are kind of taking an afterthought look at where they spent many hard hours and 4 wonderful years. Maybe the best 4 years of their lives as Duquesne University Tamburitzans.
You know, I think as Americans, we all have something in common. Originally, we're all from different lands. But no matter how long our families have been here, there's something deep inside us that will never leave the old country. It's language, it's music, it's culture. Without that little difference, we would all be depressingly the same. The Tamburitzans understand this, and they are dedicated to preserving our cultural heritages. Won't use help. With your financial support, we will build a National Folk Arts Center right here in Pittsburgh. It will have a beautiful theater for the performing arts, a museum filled with artifacts from 77 ethnic groups, and an extensive learning center. We will be leaving a wonderful place where our children can go and find out who they are and where they came from. Please call now with a generous donation to our past and their future. Thank you so much.
Hello there, I'm Chet Atkins, and I'm thrilled at the opportunity to perform for the world-famous Tamburitzans. Their music and the kind of music that I perform have many similarities. They both come from the hearts and the souls of the people. Their desire to create a national folk arts center here in Pittsburgh is truly fantastic. This is the kind of project that I wholeheartedly endorse. That's why I'm here. This National Folk Arts Center is for people, all kinds of people. It's an investment into the future of our young people, and I'm all for that. There are too many things that divide us. The human element of this new Folk Arts Center will help bring people together. It'll point out all those positive things that can help unite us and make us all better Americans. I hope you'll help out too.
I'm happy to be a part of the Tamburitzan special this afternoon. As you see us covering news either from the studio or around the streets of Pittsburgh, you don't get to see the other side of us. And I tell you, I am a legitimate reverend in the city of Pittsburgh, pastor of Pentecostal Temple, Church of God in Christ in Wilkinsburg. Ethnic programming just wouldn't be the same without gospel music, and this song this afternoon for the Tamburitzans.
Who made the mountains? Who made the trees? Who made the rivers flow out to the seas? And who hung the moon in the starry sky? Somebody bigger than you and I. Who made the flowers bloom in the spring? Who writes the song for the robins to sing? And who sends the rain when the earth gets dry? Somebody bigger than you and I. He lights the way when the road gets dark, and he keeps me company. With his love to guide you, he'll walk beside you, just like he walks with me. When I am lonely and filled with despair, who gives me courage to go on from there? And who gives me faith that will never die? Somebody bigger than you and I, than you and I.
Wherever people cherish the values of respect for work, honesty in thought and expression, and reverence for meaningful activities linked to a tradition of beauty, there the folk arts can give delight and satisfaction. The Tamburitzans have long been performing and preserving just such a tradition of youthfulness and beauty. Here in Pittsburgh will be created a National Folk Arts Center, a living monument to the preservation of the ethnic cultural heritage of all people. It is a salute to our past, and is a focal point for our continuing cultural enrichment. Above all, it is you and me. And between us,
there exists a great need for intercultural understanding. We must make a sincere effort to understand the manners of people whose cultures diverge widely from our own. For almost half a century, the Tamburitzan Corporation has believed in and given expression to the dignity of man. Now it strives to create this international showplace as a permanent physical monument to man and his cultures. I say to all of you who cherish and value your own heritage, here will be a complex constructed of brick and mortar, but possessing a soul, elevating your culture to the highest degree. The National Folk Arts Center will bear witness to this dignity of man. Your support is needed today, that this monument may rise tomorrow. Ancient cultures and the contemporary cultures, they will blend with infinite beauty when the art forms of the ancient Greeks melt into the modern art forms found in the Pittsburgh Plan for Art.
I'm Bill Vergott, president of the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center, an organization which has devoted itself to preserving the past and the present for the future. We are committed to developing the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center, a complex that will house ethnic treasures. We first came to you for support with our first telethon on this station in 1977. 2 others followed, and with your generous contributions, we were able to purchase a warehouse, acquire other properties, develop an architectural concept to renovate that warehouse into the main building, which is in the process of becoming the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center. We sincerely thank you for your past support, but we need your continued financial contributions to make this great project in Pittsburgh a reality. Your help is vital. Again, thank you.
The Tamburitzan Corporation is going to put vitality into this uptown area by recycling a warehouse into an excellent arts facility and eventually a complete folk arts complex with plaza. This complex will be known as the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center and will preserve ethnic heritage for all time. A wonderful idea, but it can't be done without you. So phone now. Phone, give your support, your financial support. This $6.2 million project is going to become a reality. Don't be left out of the pleasure of knowing you helped make it possible. Now, we invite you to stay with us because we want you to see this very engaging Slovak hat dance that's going to be done by the Tamburitzan men. And right after that, you will have the pleasure of hearing my rich baritone singing voice. I am going to sing. You don't want to miss that.
This is, of course, where part of the Folk Arts Center, in that this is where the costumes for the ensemble are made, out of authentic costumes that the Tamburitzans over the years have gathered up.
Copies.
Would you like to try one?
Oh, I would love to. I've seen the Tamburitzans, and they have beautiful costumes,
All right,
yes.
but you gotta hide your eyes.
Flowers in my hair, and beautiful peasant blouses, embroidery.
All
I
right, now
can't wait.
close your eyes. and
Okay.
Put your hands
All right.
down here. Authentic costume.
Oh! Weighs a ton. What is it?
Turn around.
It's a Hungarian shepherd's coat from Transylvania.
Oh, how they ever get any work done? This thing is heavy. It feels like it has lead in it.
I think the objective is to stay warm.
Well,
Now,
you would.
Would you like to try on some of the recent collection that the Tammies have gathered from one of the most famous ethnic dancers who ever lived? She's 83 years old. I won't have David put this crazy thing back.
Oh, could
and
I?
let you try on a stage costume from a lady called La Mary.
Ooh, it'll make me feel like flying across the set, yes.
I hope it will. Gene Rayburn went to Hyannis to interview that great lady who has now given all of her costumes to the National Center for Folk Arts.
In this beautiful and historic New England region, let me share with you what I refer to as some lovely moments in time. We've come to Hyannis to see a very famous dance concert artist. She began performing in the early 1930s as an ethnic dance stylist, dancing the world over, doing solo concerts. Now, she's officially known as Miss Russell Hughes. However, professionally, the world knows her as La Mary. Miss Hughes, how did you ever get the name La Mary?
Oh, that's simple enough. When I first went to Broadway, my given name is Russell Hughes. I was named after my father. When I first went to New York, I couldn't very well bill myself as Russell Hughes, so I called myself Mary Hughes, from Merriweather. My middle name is Merriweather. And then my first engagement abroad was, well, my first engagement, who's kidding who, was in Mexico City. And the Mexicans had such trouble pronouncing Hughes that they called me La Mary. So this, of course, flattered me beyond the telling. So I became La Mary.
So what does that make you?
That makes me, at the moment, 83.
How did you find out about the Tamburitzans?
Well, it's a funny story. The thing is that I had a student many years ago that I was very fond of then, and I'm still very fond of. He has since grown up, very definitely grown up, had a long, brilliant career as a Spanish dance artist. But we are still very good friends. Now, I told this guy, Mariano Prado, that I wanted to do something with my costumes. It was simply rotting away in the basement here. You know how damp it gets on the Cape in the summer.
Do I?
So they were there, just being ruined, and they're a beautiful collection. And I told him I must do something with this. I have no children. Obviously, then I have no grandchildren. And I just wanted to put them somewhere where they'd do the most good for the future. So he, as it happens, is from Pittsburgh, Mariano is. So what more logical than that he would suggest that I put the costumes in Pittsburgh. So that's how I found out about Tamburitzans. It has the school, the company, the museum, the library, the works, all there in one place. And this is why I thought this was the very best place to put them. My library of 500 volumes on ethnic dance, all my ethnic dance dolls, and all my ethnic records, which date back to 1927. All these things I have willed to Pittsburgh because I feel it's very definite that the dancers should have under one roof all these things. Now, it took me 10 years to find out the backgrounds of the dances I did. And I want the dancers of the future to be able to take their lesson in one room, walk into the library, and be able to get the background information and walk into the museum and be able to see the costume so that they start with a background of understanding of what ethnic dance is.
You like it?
Beautiful.
Isn't it wonderful?
David, what is she?
I'm exotic. I feel exotic. Ethereal.
You're from India right now.
Mmm.
That piece is from South India. This The skirt would not go with that piece. It's also from India, however.
David, is that Lemaire's too?
Yes, this is Lemaire's material we're looking through right now.
Oh.
What a wonderful lady, hmm?
Isn't she?
Oh, my goodness.
Now, that's a little heavy.
Oh, yes, it is. Lemairie danced in this.
She danced in that.
Uh-huh. Oh,
From
it's
where
very-
in India, Dave?
North India, I don't have an exact location.
Look at all the wonderful work, the little mirrors and everything.
What else you got, Dave?
Moving further east.
Moving further east.
Come here, Dawn. This one's for you.
Oh, for me.
Oh, Don. All right.
The only catfish there.
Oh, it looks Japanese.
It is.
Is?
Yes.
Oh, konnichiwa.
Ohio.
Gozaimasu.
Oh, ichi I forget. David, Lemairie didn't wear this, did she?
I doubt it. I think that was simply collected, although I don't really know whether she used it or not.
It's honest to goodness silk.
Oh, yeah.
That's a treasure.
Most of the materials that she donated to us are originals that she collected from about, 1928 till about 1950 in those countries.
How many boxes?
I think we eventually walked out of there with about 12 or 14 steamer trunks plus some miscellaneous
You must
boxes.
be so pleased with her generosity.
It
What
was
a
quite a
great
treasure,
find.
yeah.
Yes, indeed. Uh-huh. What are you doing, Don? Huh?
I just want the camera to zoom in carefully on your lovely Indian countenance again.
Do I look mystical or what?
Well, try.
Oh, Don.
There's so many friends of the Tamburitzans that over the years have heard about the performing ensemble and have recently heard about the National Center for Folk Arts to donate things like this, like Lemairie, and like other things that you will see throughout this program. You may not have a collection like this to give to the National Center for Folk Arts, but I know what you do have, what we all have, that can help with the continuing development of this National Folk Arts Center, and that's a check. Some of your money should be sent as much as you can, as soon as you can, to help this develop. What we're giving America and the world in Pittsburgh with the National Center for Folk Arts is pride, is an absolutely wonderful facility that will be here for years, almost forever. We're asking you to help with this project. It's a good project. It's for the love of people. And people are the most important thing with this or any other project like it. For the love of people, get that check now. Thank you.
was just going to ask you about that. Don Riggs tells me that Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is really Croatian.
Well, there's some of us that think it's Croatian. Sit down, Midge, let me tell you about it. You know, Midge, the Croatians have a very, very old folk song that can be traced back more than 100 years or so that has the same melody as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But we know it by something else. Like, so, for example, Tvoje naše Zagorje, lepo moje Zagorje. Isn't that pretty?
Oh, it is.
And,
what is it talking about?
Well, Zagorje is a little region, a little part of Croatia just north of the capital city of Zagreb, and it's a hilly region, and the people there are very fond of their country, and they sing about their land, which is Zagorje. And this little folk tune carries the same melody that Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star has, and it's like folk music all over the world. It finds its way into so many different cultures, and people borrow from it, and people use it. For example, there's another very interesting little tune. When I did some research for the development of a Croatian ethnic heritage kit for the Department of Education, there's a song that we know here. See if you recognize this.
Okay. Of course I know what that is. That's American as apple pie.
It is?
Little brown jug.
How about if I told you it's really an old Croatian folk song called Žena ide na gusti, muža sobom ne pusti, oj ti muž doma buš, buskera sera mil boš.
Okay.
Yeah, how about that?
You really get into it. Okay, what's that? What are they talking about in that song?
Well, in this particular song, there's a woman that wants to go to a wedding, but she won't allow the husband to go. So she tells her husband, you stay home, you do the chores, you feed the geese, and you feed the ducks. I'll go and represent our family.
Okay.
And it's just, ha, ha, ha. You stay home, and I'll go and have a good time.
Henpecked even then, huh?
Oh, sure.
I suppose this kind of thing's been going on for a long time, and we didn't even realize it, huh?
Oh, sure. You know, Midge, there's this business of folk music, which is really the essence of so many cultures, has found its way into the classical music repertoire. And many of the great masters like Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and Brahms have utilized little folk melodies just like this, developed them into full-blown symphonies.
I guess that's why it's so important for us to preserve this kind of music, and that's why we need a National Folk Arts Center.
Well, that's exactly true, Midge, and that's why over all these many years we've been collecting and preserving this vast repository of folk music and folk primitive and traditional music, which we've housed here in our Tamburitzans Cultural Center. And throughout the years, we've received so many requests from ethnomusicologists and musicians all over the world for just this kind of information. And now that it's here, we're able to offer this information to them.
So often people will come to us in Washington having decided to build a building and later trying to figure out what in the world they could do in that building that they built. But I know very well that Duquesne has developed a vibrant and energetic program in Pittsburgh, in the region, and with networks throughout the nation and internationally. And so now the archive is crying out for being attended to decently. The collections of costumes need proper housing. The artifacts need not only proper preservation, but proper presentation for the public to be able to see them. You are now to the stage where you need a structure to catch up with your program. It's very exciting.
Dracula. David, what are you doing with a book on Dracula in this library?
Well, Dracula is both a historic character in Romania as well as a folkloric character. There are lots of tales and legends about him, so we collect a book on him.
Oh, well, you have a lot of volumes in this library. Tell me about
Lots. Well, we've got about 17,000 volumes in the library. One of the best collections of folk art materials in the country. Most of the things are more traditional art types of things. For costumes, for instance, this is a book of costumes from Romania, and we have these kinds of books on each country: Greece, Albania, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Poland, Czechoslovakia. This one happens to be Romanian. And you can look through and see that the costumes vary quite widely from region to region.
Who comes here to this library for reference or information?
It's open to reference for anybody. Primarily people who are specifically interested in East European studies, scholars, graduate students, people who have a specific interest in a very specialized type of collection such as we have.
Will you be expanding beyond just the Eastern European?
We, in fact, already have several thousand volumes in countries and areas of the world beyond Eastern Europe. It's just that right now we don't have the space to put them out on shelves.
But when you get the new Folk Arts Center?
Absolutely, they've got to be out.
So with 17,000 volumes, you must have one of the most extensive collections in the country, a broad spectrum of all kinds of ethnicity. Do you have books here that are unlikely to be found in too many other places?
Oh, sure. We have lots of very rare and important volumes.
Can you show me some?
Sure, I have one handy. This one, for instance, is a collection of music that a man named Franjo Kuhać went and collected in 1878 in what is today northern Yugoslavia. He went out into the villages and listened to what they were singing and wrote it down. Since this was in the time when very little was being collected anywhere, and he was one of the first in this area to go out and collect music and write it down along with words.
Thank you, Kuhać, huh?
Yeah, there are probably only about 3 or 4 copies of this set still in existence.
Oh my, I feel unworthy just to touch it. People use this a lot then, people who are researching?
They can come in here and use them, yes.
What a wonderful thing you're doing for the National Folk Arts Center, for history and for people in years to come.
We're very proud of the kind of collection we've built here. It's a very important collection for this field.
And you'll be collecting more, no doubt.
Oh, as much as we can, certainly.
What's your view? What's it going to be like when the National Folk Arts Center is here?
Roomier. We have a space problem right now. We have a lot of materials that simply cannot be exhibited or put out on the shelves. And what we're looking for in the new center is to be able to expand that space so that we can put all of the secondary collections out, so that we can put all of the costumes out on display and show a wide variety, not only the East European materials we're most interested specifically, but a broad spectrum of everything from Japanese to African to South American, because we have collections in all those areas.
Good heavens, David, you've got 17,000 volumes of music books, history books, folk tales, and costumes. Look at that.
Well, that's one of the functions of our library, to act as the resource for everything we do, including the ensemble. When we do a Romanian dance number, for instance, we'll come to books such as this to research the costume and see what it looks like.
I'd like to see that in action.
wonderful. Really very beautiful.
This is, without question, the finest troupe the Tammies have ever had.
There's something distinctly American about preserving all the diverse cultural heritages and treasuring them, I think. And that's what the Tamburitzans do. So they stay the same, but they change.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wynette. Many people pay me the tribute of being the First Lady of Country Music, and I'm grateful. I love to do country music simply because it's all about people in a very real way. And here in Pittsburgh, we have a group that's been doing the music of the people for 40 years, and that's the Tamburitzans. In that sense, we're both in the same wavelength. The Tamburitzans are getting ready to build a monument to the beauty of the cultures of all the people, a National Folk Arts Center. This is really exciting. We have our Country Music Hall of Fame, and the Tamburitzans are creating a People's Hall of Fame. And this sounds like a most worthwhile project. This National Folk Arts Center, it deserves the support of all of us. Thank you.
Hello, I'm E.G. Marshall. Over the years, I've been involved in many undertakings which revolved around people. Particularly, I'm interested in those projects which in some manner can help to bring about a better life for people. In my position as spokesman for Rockwell International, I'm constantly extolling the virtues of those products which are for the betterment of mankind. Now, here in Pittsburgh, the home of Rockwell International is based another organization, the Tamburitzans. They express a similar desire to work for the betterment of man. They pay tribute to his glittering past, and through their efforts of preservation and perpetuation, exalt their precious cultural traditions. The Tamburitzans are in the process of creating a National Folk Arts Center, a window to the world of people, for both the young and the old. It's an investment in the future of young people, an environment where young minds can learn to grow, where people get information that makes them better neighbors and finer citizens. Both Rockwell International and I are all for that. This is the kind of project which I can endorse with great pleasure. I hope you will help, too.
Don, what a huge place, and all these boxes and boxes.
It looks like some gigantic attic, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. I've never seen an attic this big, though.
But in there are treasures. And really, Midge, that's the story. That's why we have to build a National Folk Arts Center. So all of the great stuff that's in these dirty old boxes can be displayed and used. And it's a shame to leave them that way. By the way, I want you to meet Mrs. Clark and her friend. She's the widow of James Clark, who just given the Tamburitzans Folk Arts Center a marvelous collection. Hi, Miss Clark.
Oh,
I'd like you to
hello.
meet Midge Hill.
Oh, pleasure to meet you,
James
Mrs. Clark.
Dennis Hupchick.
Dennis, pleased to meet you.
Same here. Nice to meet you.
Midgie, these good people are going through the collection of my friend Jim Clark. All his life collected Bulgarian everything. And they're now beginning to count. That's what's in the boxes.
Important work.
Important work is right. What are you doing now, Miss Clark?
Well, I'm trying to separate out the things that belong to me from the things that are to go to the center. Okay. And, I could never do it without Dennis.
Dennis, you were a student of Jim Clark, weren't you?
Yes, I was. 14 years I worked with Jim Clark, and recently I passed my PhD defense at the University of Pittsburgh.
In Bulgarian studies?
Yes, Bulgarian history. Jim was my advisor until his untimely death, and it's a shame he wasn't around to see the defense successfully completed.
Oh, yeah, he would have been so proud of you. Dennis, have you uncovered anything that you would really consider to be a treasure?
Well, there are a number of treasures in the collection, especially for scholars. For scholarship, Professor Clark's library was just fantastic. I have here something that I discovered recently. It's the first modern Bulgarian translation of the New Testament, one of the early books of the Bulgarian National Revival. It was a translation made by Neofit Rilski in Smyrna, which was the first Bulgarian printing press, Smyrna in Asia Minor.
Oh, this is
is it hand set?
Yes, it is. It's hand set.
Oh, my goodness.
At the time, there wasn't any standard Bulgarian type.
How old is it?
That particular volume is from 1840.
What else you got, Dennis?
Well, I have a number of things. There's this little pamphlet, which is also a rather valuable pamphlet, is is something printed by American missionaries who worked in Bulgaria, and this particular piece is a small missionary tract printed in Istanbul, in Bulgarian.
Jim always liked the idea of a National Folk Arts Center, didn't he?
He really did. And a lot of places really wanted his collections. Amherst College was interested, and Harvard University. But he had, this idea appealed to him very much, to have a center for folk arts right here in Pittsburgh, where people are so very conscious of the ethnic background. And so I'm following through on that so that the center can have everything.
Do you miss him?
Well, sure I do.
You do. We all do.
He left me with an awful mess to take care of.
Oh, God bless him. And he left a lot of work for, for a young doctorate from Mon City.
Right.
Right.
He did. It's pleasing work for me. And,
we thank you
every
for
day
your
we
time.
uncover some treasure.
No doubt. All right, get back to work, Dennis and Miss Clark.
Will do.
Come with me, Midge.
It was nice seeing you.
There's more. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.
National Center for Folk Arts. The National Folk Arts Center. That's where it will be. What a delightful story. Let me tell you some very personal things about this project. We at Channel 11 are extremely proud of how we have helped. In fact, because of programs like this and earlier programs, we have been able to raise in excess of $300,000 toward this project. But the most important thing about all of it is the people who have helped us. You, with your contributions. Let me confess something to you. We could never talk to the federal government about helping to fund a project like this were it not for your support. In every presentation that's ever been made to a government agency or to a local foundation, always the subject of people comes up. They say, we didn't realize that just plain people would support a project like this. They didn't realize what kind of people we got in Pittsburgh, I guess. But we have the kind of people in Pittsburgh that have helped with this project, that are legion and are important. This year, we're without one of the people who have helped with this the most. Jack Mitchell. John Mitchell was surely a lover of this project with his great daughter and the Tamburitzans and all the things he did to help us. Typical of many people who've helped with this project. My goodness. For the love of people, we've had help from all sources, but most especially from yours. And now, confirming what I said, here is United States Senator John Hines.
I'm Senator John Hines, honorary chairman of the committee working to build the Tamburitzan National Folk Arts Center. This cultural center will be a vital addition to Pittsburgh as an arts facility and is another important step in the revitalization of the city's Hill District. Please give your financial support to an undertaking that will uphold Pittsburgh's commitment to progress and excellence. We need your help.
Every other year, the Pennsylvania delegation sponsors an event in Washington, D.C.
Welcome you. Have a great time. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Singer.
The Tamburitzans were one of 3 performing organizations that were invited to participate in Pennsylvania Day at the Rayburn Building. And you'll notice that the Tammies have that spirit of the show must go on even in the rain. Ah, quelle troupe.
Don Riggs was right. This is a big story, one that we can all share in. Having the National Folk Arts Center located here in Pittsburgh will give us all just one more reason to be very proud of our city. If you want to be part of the history, if you want to be part of the excitement, phone in your support now.
At Midas, we'll meet or beat any competitor's price for a new muffler based on a written estimate.